Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the My Wrong Opinion podcast, where my opinion is wrong. I may be wrong, but I'll fight like I'm right. If you notice, there's a little bit of a different setup today. I'm trying some different lighting to see if this works. I might get some, what you call them? Some different RGBs or LED lights somewhere to kind of help with the backdrop a little bit. But in the meantime, we're just going to rock with this. So, I really don't have much to go into as far as research goes, as far as any type of session like that. I am hoping against hope that I can make this session around 35 to 40 minutes at the most. Um, for anybody expecting me to have like a huge breakdown of the videos from the Amber Heard trial, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial, and expected for me to go piece by piece with the certain sections of the testimonies and cross examinations, you're not going to get that today. I did look at a good portion of the trials. I looked at a good portion of the examinations, cross examinations, witness testimonials, things like that. So some of my opinion will be based off those observations, but for the most part, I kind of want us to talk today. This is going to be a less talk session, more so than anything else. So what I want to talk about with regards to what this Amber Heard trial brought up is the idea of, well, I guess two things. One is men with influence and in positions of power and how that translates to their protection in this country. If that's even the right way to think about it. I don't think that's the right way I'm trying to present it. But I'm making a point with Johnny Depp's status in comparison to the average man and trying to see if I can make something out of that from there. But that's one of the concepts. How much is exactly required of a man in order to defend his reputation versus what exactly is the benefit in believing all women, regardless of the facts that are presented, the skepticism of their own testimonies and things like that, and how that can create a problem. So let me state this first and foremost before we go any further. I think that Amber Heard was lying. This woman was crazy. I have no problem saying that. She was crazy. She was abusive. And she lied about her abuse. And she tried to tear down another person's reputation, I believe, in order to protect herself. And on another side of it, to also, I guess, spite Johnny Depp. Now, I didn't even know that Johnny Depp was married. Little did I know that he was also married to Amber Heard. And when I had heard some of the details of what had happened during the relationship, I don't know how to describe it. I was shocked. And when I heard what Amber Heard had done, I wasn't really surprised, unfortunately. And I was, I guess, frustrated. I guess in my mind, when granted, social media isn't always the best source of information, so we can't take everything it says. We got to put things into a grain of salt. But when this woman said in a recording that not only did she hit this man, but also to state things like, who's going to believe you? I just don't think that if that was a man saying that, a lot of y'all would have given him the benefit of the doubt like you gave this woman. I just don't believe that. And I also think it's even more frustrating that after the proceedings of the trial, when we find out that not only was Amber Heard's testimonies not sufficient, she was lying about a lot of things, even including not even taking out the idea of photoshopping pictures to try and prove herself as a victim, but then bringing on these pseudo experts who really didn't know what they were doing, presenting testimonies that were easily scrutinized, and then on top of all of that, she got a consolation prize in regards to the defamation case that she counters. I think she countersued with it, or I think Johnny countersued. But either way, but she still owes Johnny the vast amount of what he was suing for. And I think it's so irritating. I guess I shouldn't say irritating. It is not surprising, but it's also not even shocking. It's just frustrating when after all this stuff went down, after we see the trial right in front of our eyes, we see that none of what she's saying is standing up. None of it is passing through the scrutiny. None of it is passing through any of the proof of burden and all that other stuff. And there's still people out there saying, not only do they sympathize with Miss Heard, but they advocate for her justice, and they think that what happened in the trial was, how do I say this? We support you no matter what. That, granted, it was a minority, but it was still around 1 million people, and that is a problem. That's a problem for a number of reasons. One, because empowering people, not even just women. Let's just take women out of this. Well, women are part of this, but let's just say not just isolating it to women, but empowering anybody to be this inflammatory, incendiary about their accusations and not pass any type of sufficient scrutiny is going to lead to a lot of people getting hurt unnecessarily out of nowhere, especially when the other person was the one doing the harm. And I know you guys don't like hearing this, but women can be abusive. They can be abusive intensely. And it's so I think it's really easy to dismiss when men get abused by women because of the idea that, oh, men are more physically stronger. Abuse doesn't always look that way. Mental abuse, emotional abuse are serious things. Words, I hate people that say these things like words don't hurt. Yes, they do. Words hurt. Words cut. Words can cause somebody to get active. If you guys never heard of the term fighting words, that's a thing for a that's a thing for a reason. Like, people can say things that are so off the pocket that you're willing to go toe to toe with them. That is a thing that does happen. And I don't think we give that enough scrutiny like we need to. And look, I'm not saying that we should not believe women when they make accusations. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that we should just... Well, no, I actually am kind of saying that. Let's forget just women. Anytime anybody accuses somebody of anything, there should always be an air of, yes, I sympathize with you in your pain, but like, how accurate is your account? You know what I mean? And I get it. Timing matters. We can't just automatically right off the gate be like, oh yeah, what were you doing? Like, what were you know what I mean? Like, what? Because then that turns into a whole victim blaming situation, and we don't want that either. But what I do think is that we can't just blindly follow people just because they present a high emotional state, and then they start crying in front of your face. Because this woman really did, like, present herself as a victim in this whole situation. Now look, in all honesty, Johnny Depp wasn't completely innocent. I will say that. This man was doing drugs, hard drugs on top of all that. He was cussing at her. He was barking back. I mean, there were things that got thrown, things that happened, things like that. So I'm not saying that he was completely innocent, but to accuse Johnny Depp of sexually abusing her. If y'all forgot, that was one of the accusations, was that he was sexually abusing her. To accuse him of that, and I think also accusing him of abusing her, hitting her, a whole bunch of just things like that. And then, like, the people that side with her not really taking the time to ask her, like, well, or even not even that, just listening to what she's saying and finding out, well, wait, that doesn't line up. That doesn't make sense. Why are we doing what? Wait, what? He did what? I was with y'all when it happened. I was with y'all there at the event. That never happened. But then this woman still gets up on court in a testimony and still says that it happened. And then gaslighting again. I didn't realize what gaslighting was until a couple of years ago, but that is a thing. It happens, and it happens often. And what I find out is that a lot of people, instead of like actually challenging what is being presented to them, they instead want to try and present the other person as being irrational. Which I know sounds kind of counterintuitive to what I just said as far as like scrutinizing testimony, but we gotta stop just believing people on its face. I mean, and that's a tough conversation to have too, because like if you have a relationship with somebody, you have an investment in their well-being, and they're coming to you with a story, and they're telling you that all of this bad stuff is happening, and the other person's responsible for it. It's gonna be hard for you in that space to be like, okay, well, what really did happen? And again, I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't even say I feel for the people that have believed Amber Heard up until the trial, because it's hard to be like in that situation in this country, especially when we hear about the idea of what rape culture is, what it presents, and the fact that women can get sexually abused, manipulated, and controlled by men, and there's no real accountability for it, it does happen. I'm not going to deny that. That does happen. That is a thing. But there's a key key, and I mean, and this is important. There's a key specification with that I want to address later because it doesn't get addressed enough, and I'm really frustrated that it isn't. So I'll get to that in a second. But it is a factor that there are women that are manipulated by men in power that will be manipulated, abused, all these different things, and no accountability comes to them because they are men in power. But when you have a situation like Amber Heard, who has a measured level of influence, I didn't know she was an actress. I didn't even know she was a part of the whole Aquaman films. But she's notable to a degree. People know of her. People know about her. She does have a career. She was an actress. She might still be an actress even after all this, which is an even crazier thing given all the stuff that's happened. But like, this is a person who's not, I guess, all the way. How do I say this? She's not bereft of power herself. She does have the ability to hire lawyers. She could pay fees. She can do all that. She's not short on cash, is what I'm trying to say, as far as I know. But then the problem with that is like, because you're on her side and you're seeing her say these things, she's presenting these stories to you, and you're hearing the cries, you're seeing the tears. It's gonna be really difficult for you to be like, well, she might be lying. You know what I mean? I can't blame anybody for being in that situation and not wanting to, and some people might have even had the thought of like, that doesn't sound all the way right. But the problem that now in this country, like I said, because of the fact that there is a culture to a degree that is allowing women to be taken advantage of, it's hard for you to at that point say, well, I mean, I don't really believe you. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds like victim blaming. Nobody in this country wants to be a victim blamer. But I think the problem is we kind of push that needle to the other side so hard to where people are saying things like believe all women no matter what. And that is an insane statement because, I mean, if we're going to go back, and I'm going to jump some topics here. I'm going to jump subjects here. But if we want to even bring up the Bible, if we could even put that in that, women have been lying about things like this since the beginning of time. This is nothing new. Potiphar's wife was an example of this, where there was a man that was righteous who chose not to fall in lust with a woman. The woman then, because of embarrassment or whatever, she decided to accuse him of raping her. That happened in the Bible. That happened thousands and thousands of years ago. So who can imagine that this isn't anything new? And I think I don't think people really understand that this is a thing that's been happening for a very, very long time. Women do lie about what happens to them. Now, the reasons vary as to the reason why they do that, but women do lie. They're capable of lying, and they're capable of lying about some really intense stuff. Look, working for children's services, I've come across a couple of stories where some of these women have even told their children that their dad is dead. Like, don't even bother looking for him, and he's dead. And this man is alive, healthy and well, and doesn't have the opportunity to interact with his children because the mom literally is keeping them away from him. And the mom, for whatever reason, is just flat out telling her children that that their dad is dead. Don't look past what I just said. There are women out there that are lying that badly about things. It does happen. It's a thing. I mean, we see it even on the news at times. Like, there's stories about black men back in the day that were getting, like, freaking Emmett Till is an example of this, if we can be honest. I don't think it was a woman. I don't think she lied, actually. I don't think I gotta go back now. I can't remember for sure, but I think he whistled. I think Emmett Till whistled at a white woman, and then some black guys, some white guys heard about it and they killed him. So that might not be a good example. But it leads to what I was going to say. There are plenty of examples of women in the past who have accused the black men of raping them, and these men have been in jail for decades of their lives, only for women on their deathbeds to then confess that they lied. And that happens more often than we are comfortable with admitting. But that is a thing that happens. Now, granted, back in those days, there was a racial component to it, so it's harder to make the case now that would happen as much. But it's more so leading to what I'm saying before and what I'm saying now. Women are capable of lying of some of the most heinous, messed up, and high-level things that you wouldn't believe. Women are capable of lying about these things. Men are capable of lying about it too. It's just that people don't believe men as often. Unless they're in positions of power. And this was the point I was going to get to as well. Johnny Depp had to go to, I think if I remember correctly, he had to go to the Supreme Court in order to defend his case against not being a sexual abuser. Ladies and gentlemen, do you realize that the Supreme Court is not civil court. You know what I mean? Like, that's high level stuff. That's lawyer fees, that's time, that's effort. It's being recorded, it's being presented to the masses. This man had to go to the highest level in this country in order to prove his innocence. What does that say about the rest of us? Do you hear what I'm saying? What does that say about the rest of us who don't have the access to the resources that Johnny Depp does, who doesn't have the level of I guess persuasion and not persuasion, the level of influence and power, quote unquote, that he has? What does that say about the rest of us? Because I think a lot of you ladies, unfortunately, have directed a lot of your anger and vitriol towards us regular dudes, and we don't have the ability to put you in jail, throw you into hell, or do anything of that nature. You're treating us like, I hate doing this because it sounds bad, but I think there's a lot of folks out here who are blaming just regular dudes for stuff that people in power have done to them. I think the issue should really be directed towards people in positions of power that are manipulating and using that for their benefit. But I think the problem, what happens with that is that the people that are victimized by those folk tend to translate that towards all men, like we're all capable of doing that. And that's just not the case. In the regular world, with guys like us, it's much easier for a woman to just accuse us of something and it just be proven, not even proven true. It doesn't have to be proven true. She just has to say it happened and a nigga's going to jail. Like, that's where our reality is. Now, in the court of public opinion, you could differ. You could say on one side or another, depending on how influential that person was, that they could be dismissed or accredited. But the point I'm making is that men who don't have the level of power, who don't have the level of resource, who don't have the level of influence like a person like a Johnny Depp or an executive or a CEO does, will never be able to get to that level where they'll be able to prove their innocence if a woman just comes up and accuses them of something. It would take a high level of support and representation from highly intellectual people who know the letter of the law down to a science to be able to verify or discredit the testimony of a woman accusing a man of something. I'm not red pill, ladies and gentlemen. I know it sounds that way, but I'm not. But I'm also, look, I said it before and I'll say it again. They make their points. And in this situation, to a degree, it's hard not to believe it true. Like, it just, some of y'all don't know about this, okay? So I know I'm pulling from a very, very niche experience, okay? But I just recently watched a video, it was a few years ago, about a situation from a man named Prime Case, who was a political streamer off of Twitch, who was accused of sexually harassing one of his coworkers, and later found out through a series of videos, literally just asking questions, because that's literally all it took, was just asking questions, found out that woman was lying, and she was trying to destroy his reputation, tear down his channel so that she could get, and the whole purpose of that was just to get clout off of it so that she could boost her own career. And if you don't think there aren't women that do that, you are lying to yourselves. And that's what frustrates me again, because we look at people like Amber Heard and we see the level of people that not only support her, but advocate for her to get justice against a man who we just saw in a court of literally at the highest level prove his innocence. But we still got people out here saying that this is, I don't know, it's typical man stuff, typical whatever. Just completely dismissing the fact that this woman has been lying from the beginning. She's been lying from the beginning. And this is what I'm saying. This is kind of the problem here, because there are cases, and it does happen, where on the other side it's just as true. A woman accuses a man of raping them. They actually did happen, but because the man is in a position of power or influence, he has the leverage to be able to completely dismiss those charges and never face accountability for it. That does happen. That does happen. So I'm not saying it's completely in a vacuum. I'm not saying that all men are innocent in this situation. But what I am saying is that we can't just, the rhetoric that we just got to believe women no matter what is extremely dangerous. Because you wouldn't just believe men no matter what. Because some of these people are lying. And you can't commit so hard to an idea that you end up looking stupid on the other side of it. You have to, with a certain measured level of healthy scrutiny, be able to determine and discern whether or not this person's accusations are correct. And granted, most of these situations, it's always going to be a court of public opinion. Very few times are these things going to go to trial. So to be fair, it's hard in that situation to scrutinize something when you don't have all the evidence. All you have is one person's side of the story and the other person's side of the story. But what I am saying is you can't grab the pitchforks and torches and get ready to light a nigga's house on fire because somebody accused them of something and they might not have actually done it. There has to be some level of due diligence there. And I know I'm asking a lot, okay? I know I'm asking a lot. I know I'm asking people to be critical about what they see in front of them. I know. And I know that's not an easy thing to do. And I think that there is a space to sympathize with somebody who is genuinely struggling, male or female, in that situation, because you never know. You just don't know. But what I don't think is healthy to do is to take just one person's side of the story, take their testimony, and then try to crucify the other person based off of that without any type of like verifiable, I shouldn't say proof, but just without any level of actual scrutiny as to whether or not what she's saying is true or what he's saying is true. Because like I said, women will even lie about the children's father being dead. There was a story, I just remember this. There was a story I saw on, I think it was on YouTube, about this guy who this couple that were, I think were divorced. I think they got divorced at a certain point. And the mom literally lied to her 3 children for 20 plus years, telling them that their father was sexually molesting them as children. And gaslit those children into believing that because they were like, well, you were too young to remember. It happened when you were young. To the point where she completely alienated them from from their father. And the man had to get on a TV show. And apparently, I think they had to be put to a poly test. And the woman ended up found out being lying. To be lying. And the girls that were there that heard that were like, you could see in the video, their worlds were literally crumbling apart because their entire lives, they were denied an opportunity to have a relationship with their father because a woman lied. She lied and lied like to a degree that I can't fathom. I can't imagine lying that hard. And I think just because I've never been in that situation, and then when she was confronted with it, she then tried to gaslight even further, saying, why didn't you, she's talking to the father saying this, why didn't you fight harder for them if you knew I was lying? Can you imagine if a guy went out of his way to go that hard? Like, that's insane. Like, people lie to that degree and then face no consequence for it. This woman denied these 3, I think it was 3 young ladies, like 20 plus years of a relationship with their father, which is one of the most fundamental relationships in a growing child's life. Whether it was out of spite, whether it was just out of hatred or whatever, she did that. She lied to them. That's why I'm saying it's dangerous to just believe things on its face. And I'm not saying that you gotta, again, and this is what makes it tough, because a lot of us don't have the ability to actually scrutinize people when they present stuff like this. But we gotta be a little bit more responsible with the way that we engage with people that are presenting, especially something as wild as molestation, rape, or anything like that. You gotta be careful with stuff like that, because what you could eventually do. And I know people don't care about men. I hate this. Lord help me. People don't care about men in these situations. There's very little support that, as far as I've seen, as far as I know, there's very little support that goes out to men who are falsely accused of something and they face their consequences. Big deal, big whoop. For one guy that's falsely accused, there are 10 others that aren't. I get it. I get it already. I know I'm speaking to a populace here that probably doesn't even care about what I'm saying. But what I am trying to say, and I'm going to continue to say it, is that we can't just take, and this is male or female, we can't just take people's accusations without certain level of scrutiny. People be lying out here, man. Even people you know. They might lie to you. It's possible. Now, am I saying that we got to be paranoid, looking around our corner to make sure people aren't accusing us of craziness? No. What I am saying is that, like I said before, we have to at least, it's okay to sympathize first. It's okay to hear out their story. It's okay to do that. And if you know the type of person that they're talking about, and it seems, I don't even say if it seems plausible, and you know for a fact that that person is capable of something like that, you can lean even a little bit more to it being credible, but you always have to hold out the possibility of that person being wrong. Not wrong. They might be embellishing certain details. They might be giving you one fact, but a couple of things attached to that fact that aren't accurate. They might be doing that. Or they might just be flat out lying, but you don't know. And that's what I'm saying. You have to be careful about stuff like that, especially with things like abuse. You have to be careful with that, because those things, if left unchecked, can ruin people's lives. I just get like, I wish I had the videos. If I do, I'll post them in the description. But there are examples of women lying, like lying, like lying about men and what they've done to them, only to find out later they weren't telling the truth, and that person wasted decades of their lives based off of a lie. That's dangerous, and it happens more than people are willing to admit. I think we all need to be honest with ourselves, guys, and I'm gonna stand by it. Believing all women, just like believing all men on its face, is not a viable way to go. You can't do it. Now, unfortunately, I don't know if it's our media or what, but I can't think of any examples of a man lying about a woman. I think maybe like when guys say, "Oh yeah, she crazy," or like, "That's not my kid," something like that. Those things do happen. I do believe that. But just like with women, I know that it's even then you still got to take it into account. Like, yo, this cat might be lying. Like, bro, you guys were together for 2 or 3 years. You're telling me out of all those times you guys had sex, no, come on, bro. Like, she wasn't, like, you know what I mean? It's something like those type of conversations can happen, and I think it's healthy to have those. But unfortunately, we're in a culture now that isn't going to allow us to do that healthily. Like, it's just not. Because if you try to even question for a second the testimony of what a woman might say, you're automatically looked at as a victim blamer, a misogynist, and yet you hate women, whether you're male or female. Like, if you question what a woman presents to you, you're automatically on the side of evil. And I'm trying to be fair here, and I'm trying to see if you, okay, so if a man were to lie about a woman, oh, I guess that is true. That's just as toxic. I mean, it would have been toxic either way, but I think it's true. Like, there are men that lie on women. You know what I mean, like, men that would say, like, "No, I didn't rape her," or something like that. Like, that would happen, especially if they're a person. But the key determining factor, guys, that we have to take into account is the man that's saying these things, or the man that's being accused, in a position of power. Because if they're in a position of power, you have to be even heavier with your scrutiny. Because a woman that would lie about a man in power, more than likely, you're going up against a lot, because influence matters. And I know it sounds like I'm arguing against my own point, and then to a degree in this situation I kind of am. But either way, we have to be willing to admit to ourselves that women be capable of lying, man. I'm frustrated. I can't help it. I don't know what's going on with me lately. I don't know what's been happening. I don't know if it's just the way the world has been working, but it's getting me to a point where I have to make these statements and I have to make these arguments because I just don't see them happening enough. Like, I mean, I've seen them in personal conversations, but dude, like, there are people out there retweeting like, "Yo, we support you. We stand by you, Amber Heard. We can't believe that this happened to you." And I'm like, did you see the trial? Like, did you even, like, I can't believe there's no way you could have seen what had happened and then still say something that crazy. There's no way you could have seen that. Like, all this stuff that was presented to us. And look, I don't have the best memory in the world. Like I said, I didn't really go too in-depth with the research on it. I looked at most of this stuff just on its face. But we look at just simply the fact that this woman was photoshopping pictures. She was photoshopping pictures. She was lying about events that had happened. There are people that were on her side of the story that eventually came out and said, "Yeah, what she just said is not true." Like, this woman has been lying, making grandiose accusations, going as high as the Supreme Court, looking at a jury of people who are determining the fate of a man's life and saying things like, "Yes, he did what he did," even in face of the evidence saying the contrary. And Amber Heard is one of many examples of women who have done this to men. I am struggling to find an example of a man taking a woman to court off of a lying accusation, and that woman potentially, if not facing jail time, facing some serious crucifixion in the court of public opinion. I don't think, I mean, granted, I haven't done the research, and this Amber Heard thing kind of threw itself in my face. I couldn't avoid it. So I don't know. There might have been cases where that happens, but I see more often the other side of it being a thing. Is Damon a victim blamer? Is Damon saying that you can't believe women? You have to try and find some way to find fault in what they're saying? No. I'm sure people will say that based off what I've been saying, but I think that, I mean, at least, if anything else, at least get both sides of the story and see if they both match up. Can we at least try and do that? You know what I mean? Like, I guess I'm just talking to the people that won't stand in front of a grand jury, that won't stand in front of a group of a judge or a jury, or anybody that would be to the level or degree like a Johnny Depp or Amber Heard is. I'm talking about us regular folk. Like, can we at least afford to give the other person their side of the story? Can we at least try to do that? Especially if you know the person. Now, if you don't know the person, if you don't have that deep of a relationship with them, and the person that you know is saying some crazy stuff, then, I mean, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to tell people to go out of their way to reach out to somebody that they barely know to try and find their side of the story on something. I'm not going to say that. Because most of us wouldn't do that. And to be honest with you, I don't think most people should do that. I mean, unless, look, if we're talking about charges being pressed, you might want to, I don't know. And I think that's what makes it tough. And that's like, I think engaging in this conversation is not going to be easy because I think there are a lot of factors to play into it. But I think that we keep ignoring like that power dynamic, and that power dynamic is important because a lot of men don't have that. A lot of us regular dudes don't have that. So when people get accused of things and it comes out of a woman's mouth, the guy who doesn't have that level of influence or power is completely screwed. Like, almost completely immediately. And there's no way to defend it. Because anytime you try to defend it, it just makes you look worse. I didn't do it. And, like, especially if you get mad. Like, even if you get mad. And that's what I'm saying, man. Like, it's just a dangerous space to be in. And we got to be careful with the way we engage in these spaces. Because we could be those people. We could be the mobs that unjustifiably crucify, honestly, I don't want to keep saying crucify, but unjustifiably tear down somebody who really didn't do anything wrong. People were coming for Johnny, man. People were at Johnny's neck. They wanted this man to go down hard, jail time and all that. Some of y'all are crazy. Some of y'all wanted this man to really, truly suffer. And found out later that he was actually telling the truth. And actually, the person that was accusing him was the one that was doing the majority of the abuse. And a lot of y'all went real silent after that. That's what I've noticed. And again, that's a microcosm of what actually happens in this country. When it's later found out that the woman that was saying all these things was lying, a lot of you guys get quiet. And that frustrates me even more. Because y'all are too cowardly to stand up on your own too and admit that you were wrong. And I got no respect for people that operate that way. I just don't. And I could have been that. I mean, it's like, I can't say it's not easy. It's easy to be in that space, especially if it's somebody that you care about. But like I said, we just gotta put more thought behind this stuff, y'all. We can't just keep taking one side of the story and not even at least giving the other person a side to explain themselves. At least try and give them an opportunity to speak up for themselves before you try to hang them in the court of your own mind. You know what I mean? Because they might be wrong. You might listen to their side of the story and be like, "Dang, hold on, wait a second, wait. I do. Like you might say, "Oh wait, I do remember that did happen. Wait a second, what? Wait. So wait, how did she say? Then why did she say that? That doesn't make sense." And then here you go, the ball starts rolling. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess I expected myself to be a little bit more intense about this whole Amber Heard situation, but I think it just all boils down to, like, men in power have the ability to do this stuff to women, and I don't think you women, Lord help me, I don't think that you, how do I say this? I think more of you guys' issues with men in power, not men. You know what I mean? I think your issue is more so with men in power, because I will concede to you that is a thing. That is a thing. Women are manipulated. Women are taken advantage of. Women are abused, sexually and otherwise, by men in power, and they don't face any consequence for it because they are men in power. But what I don't think is fair to do is to take that situation, take that experience, and broad stroke it across all men, saying all men are capable of doing something like this. Because there are even men in power that are getting lied on. You know what I'm saying? Like, that happens too. But I think your issue is just with like the people that have that power and they're using it for evil. Be upset. If I heard somebody say, I'm upset with men who use their power to manipulate and control. And granted, that's a long sentence. Not people are going to say that. Like, I have an issue with men who abuse their power. I completely stand with you on that. Because I'm getting screwed over by men in power. You know what I mean? Like, it's a thing. It's common. But what I don't like is when they go out and say all men are trash, and it's just like, it's just so dismissive of what's actually happening. You're making us like you can't get at the person in power, so you're gonna get at little old me. You know what I mean? It just makes you look bad, and I don't think that's fair to anybody. Because most of us out here are really just trying to live our lives and do the best that we can. And like I said before in a few pods back, and I'll continue to stand by it, there are a lot of us that actually agree with you, ladies. Okay, we agree with you, and we want you guys to do well. And so I don't think it's fair for you guys to continue to point that like really sharp arrow that's meant for the person at the top and keep hitting us with it. It's just kind of productive. And that's the controversial point I'm going to bring up, and then I'm going to wrap up because I'm hitting the 30-minute mark. But like people that get upset with what's going on in the country and they want to go and burn down a mom and pop shop, it's just it's stupid. It is stupid. And this is a person who if you go way back in my earlier pods, that talked about like, I gotta remember what I said. No, the point I was saying was like, look, if we're talking about looting, granted, back in that space, I was emotionally charged. So I said, like, honestly, I don't care if the building's burned down. Do I stand by that now? Not as much. But do I stand by the idea that we still have, like, we can't focus so much on the looting that we forget the reason why they're looting? That has to be addressed, because if we don't address the why and we just talk about the symptoms, nothing's going to get solved. So, do I still say today that? Yes. But I also agree that getting mad at like Bank of America and going and burning down like Sanford and Sons is not going to help you. That's an extremely stupid way of expressing your frustration. Because the mom and pop shop isn't the person oppressing you and holding you down. So why are you burning it down? That doesn't help anything. It's a loose example, but it makes my point. It's not helpful and it's unproductive to make regular old folks like us the dartboard for your frustrations with a person in power who uses it against you. Or even a guy with influence who used it against his own will. Not against his own will. A guy in influence who leveraged that to keep himself safe from accountability. Like, that does happen. I just think, yeah. Yeah. Amber Heard opened up a lot. I'm gonna be honest. There was a lot about the Roe v. Wade stuff that just opened up a lot in me. So this Amber Heard situation, it had a lot in my head, and there was a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about. But I mean, there wasn't gonna be as much, just because I've said a lot of this stuff before. So yeah, that's my pod for this week. I'm still trying to figure out what the next episode is gonna be. I'll probably tell you guys probably on Monday or Tuesday when it comes up. It usually comes up to me by that point, and then we'll keep it rolling. But yeah, I hope you guys. What do you guys think? You know what I mean? Like, am I lying? Am I making stuff up? Am I tripping? You know what I mean? If I am, then I am. If I'm wrong, and this is just, and granted, I admitted on its face in the beginning. This is my personal opinion here. Like, I didn't. Apart from what I've seen. Part of what's been presented to me and as part of what I've observed, even in my own regular life, I don't have a lot of numbers to really back up what I'm saying. And I have no problem saying that. This is an opinion, and it's an opinion that I'm giving. And so if you guys disagree, feel free to disagree. If you agree, feel free to agree. Post it in the comments. Whatever. You know what I mean? Hit me up with my DMs. Tell me I'm tripping. Tell me I'm lying. Whatever. This is a conversation. We can have it. So, in closing, I'll just say this. Check on your strong friends. Your mental health is important. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be right. Um, I'm not always wrong. Um, and sometimes we're all right. Uh, Words do matter and words do hurt. Um, but actions will always speak louder. Um, Love is important, and sacrifice is just as important. And don't allow yourself to think less of yourself, but don't allow yourself to think more of yourself. Think of yourself as you ought. Uh, yeah. So that's it, y'all. Love you guys. As always, wish the best for y'all. I'll be seeing you guys next week. All right, peace.